Welcome to the Nerd Party.
Let the filibustering begin.
Welcome to Nerd Party.
Hello and welcome to Filibuster here on the Nerd Party Network. Our second week at the Edinburgh International Film Festival continues with Calibre writer and director Matt Palmer returning for an extended interview. Be sure to check out our bumper episode from last week about Calibre, which also featured Matt and actors Kate Bracken, Martin McCan and Tony Curran. Calibre is about two lifelong friends, one of them played by former Filibuster guest Jack Lowden, who heads up to an isolated Scottish village for a weekend hunting trip. But nothing can prepare them for what follows, and the less you know going into this, the better. But I hope you'll enjoy our interview, and Calibre will be available worldwide from Friday the 29th on Netflix, so don't miss it. Enjoy the interview. How's your festival been so far?
It's been amazing, yeah. Like the screenings have been great. It's going to be a great buzz around the film, and the reviews have been fantastic.
Yeah, I saw the Variety one. That must have been. Is it moments like that where it kind of becomes real, that like people are seeing it now, and you go into like sold out screenings in your hometown and everything? Yeah.
I mean, the Variety review is like I've dreamt of getting a Variety review at all, and I've dreamt about getting a Variety review like that, and it's just like it's one of the 10 greatest things that's going to happen to me in my life, that Variety review. I will read it 1,500 times before I die, and assuming I last that long.
What's it like kind of when you see it's like Variety reviews Calibre, like, because some Netflix movies recently it's been like they'll just put anything out, you know, there's been debate, are they any good, is it this, is it that? Is there a fear when you see it like they're reviewing my movie, do I click on it? And because they're so clickbaity, you never really know what you're going to get before you click on it. What's the feeling like?
Well, what happened was that we were talking, I mean, we knew that like in some ways getting the review at all, because Variety don't review every movie at Edinburgh by any means at all, and we didn't know if we were going to get the review. So there was a big thing, are we going to get a Variety review? And then I was down in the Travis Bar on Saturday night, and I just saw my producer and the publicist huddled around the phone looking, and I was like, something's going on. And I just went over, and the producer just said, there's a Variety review and it's fucking amazing. And I was just like, and I started reading it, and it's kind of like an out-of-body experience. I couldn't quite take it in, you know. But it's just like, you wake up the next morning, you're like, oh my God, that actually happened, you know.
You'll be getting it framed up in your rumpus room or something.
No, I think so. I mean, it's just, and it was such a cracking review, do you know what I mean? And such a great writer.
I've been so curious as well, like, because it's been, like, it's predominantly, you know, British, Scottish cast, you know, Celtic cast,
it's
really.
It's a totally Scottish movie.
And with that, is there a pressure that you feel that, kind of with Scotland, the movies that are being sent around the world, you get the odd train spotting, but it's mostly people that come and shoot here for a few days, or they use Scotland as a backdrop to something else. Do you feel like with a movie going around the world like this, that it showcases the best of Scotland in terms of the actors, the talent behind the camera, but also perhaps some of the frustrations that we don't have a studio system really here at all, and you know, everything that has to be done, it's a challenge to get things done. What do you feel about that?
I think it's, you know, I don't think it is a challenge to get things done here. I mean, people are talking about the studio a lot, and the thing is, if the studio gets built, great. But, you know, the thing is, I suppose for me, is that I'm not really a studio movie kind of person, in the sense of shooting within four walls. I mean, you spend 9 years writing a script, sitting in rooms. And for me, I write the script so I can get out of the room and get out in the countryside. Do you know what I mean? So, and the countryside is there, and the crews are here, and the actors are here, and there's actually nothing to stop it. You know, they don't need to be waiting for a great big studio to be built. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's 100 million different movies that can be made here right now.
That's fantastic. And what was the casting process like for getting this movie together? Because it's got some brilliant actors. Martin was one of the people I'd never been familiar with him, or like I'd seen Semity Kwan. Just such a great cast. How did you get everyone like?
We had a fantastic casting director. We had the casting director called Theo Parker. When we first approached her, she couldn't do it because she worked for a very famous casting director called Nina Gold, and she was Nina Gold's associate, so her second in command. So when we first approached Theo, she said, I love the script, I'd love to do it, but I've spoken to Nina and I just don't have the time at the moment because I'm casting associate on Star Wars for her. And it was like, okay, well, So there's a bigger movie competing for her time, but things kind of shifted around, and then we re-approached her like 3 months later, and she said, "Oh no, now I'm totally free," and so we got her, and she'd cast some Ben Wheatley stuff. She cast like Sightseers, and she cast High Rise, and you could tell from the beginning she was amazing. And you know, she's based in London, and so a London casting director has cast this amazing Scottish cast, and it's just testament to how much she knows. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the first name she mentioned at the first meeting we had with her was Jack Lowden. And she sent me an audition tape that he'd done. There wasn't much Jack Lowden stuff about, because at the time he hadn't done that much film stuff. I think he'd just done Tommy's Honour, which was his first leading
It was here a few years ago, wasn't it?
So she sent me a casting tape he'd done for a TV programme like a couple of years before, and it took me like within 5 seconds I was like, this guy's amazing. So we attached Jack, but attached, you know, sound. I mean, it's a great step, but it's only a step.
Yeah.
And about 6 months after we'd attached him, he got cast in Dunkirk. So we thought, that's probably we've probably lost him. He's gone too big. Yeah. But there was just this little gap, and it was like, this is the last time he would ever do a movie of this budget. Is he going to do it? And I just had a sneaky feeling, because I'd had a meeting with him and he'd read the script, and the script's obviously very intense. It's a very intense material. And I also got the feeling Jack is, you know, he's going to be a movie star, a superstar, but the thing is, he's also a serious actor. He won an Olivier Award about the age of 17. I just thought, I just got this niggling hope that he wants to do this role because it's going to be a challenge, and because he can really act. You know, he's going to have to really act. And he went for it, you know, and it was just the timing, you know, because it took us about, you know, it was 3 years after my first meeting with the casting director, so the timing was perfect. And then she kept talking about Mike McCann. He sent in a self-tape doing a couple of scenes of Marcus, and again, it took us 20 minutes, me and the producers, because he just literally, it was just out the park, his audition tape. And it was like, any conceptions I had of the character of Marcus just shifted, and I was like, no, whatever I thought Marcus was, this is Marcus.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm curious as well, like, this is obviously your first directorial feature. What's it like to be a first-time director and then making a feature? Is it one of these ones where it's like, you have all these ideas in your head for shots, ideas that you want to make, or there's like, what is it like when you make the first one? Do you think, right, I'll make this as good as I can, and hopefully there's a second one in the future where I can maybe got this idea of this shot that I want to do, this long tracking shot in the last 20 minutes. What's the kind of process for you for that?
I mean, it's super frightening, because you know that it's a massive opportunity. So on the one hand, you're like, you know, a lot of people never get to make a feature film. So on the one hand, you're like, this is just, I've got to enjoy this because I've got this opportunity, and it's an amazing opportunity. But it's also an opportunity to hopefully move into a career in directing. So mixed with this amazing excitement and kind of luck, and like, I'm so lucky to be here, is also this crazy pressure not to make a mess of it, because you're like, if I make a mess of this, that's probably it. Do you know what I mean? So there's a massive amount of pressure on you too. But yeah, I mean, the thing is, the shoot was like a sort of survival. It was like it took me 3 weeks after I finished before I could even vaguely, it completely destroyed me. Do you know what I mean? It was the most intense thing aside from having kids, like when I had like my kid, that was the first 5 weeks of that was very intense. Similar, like just completely exhausting, and like you're having to think intensely, constantly for 15 hours a day for 6 weeks.
It's been everything that you expected and hoped it would be when you watch all these movies and think about, I'm going to make my feature. Has like the whole process from day one, writing it, going through that process, shooting it and releasing it here at Edinburgh, has it been what you've thought, or is it?
I think it's all been exactly what I thought and hoped it would be, apart from the shoot. And I think the shoot is just one of those things. And again, I'd use the kid analogy. It's like when you're going to have a baby and you're going to become a parent, you don't really know what that is until you do it. And like you've made shorts, but they're just with films, but the intensity is just like the it's like otherworldly. The shoot is otherworldly. It's like you can't, you're in this bubble, and it's just, it's super crazy tough.
Yeah.
You know, and you're just constantly fighting to not mess up a scene and not mess up a shot, you know, and get the best out of everything. But you're constantly doing that for 5 weeks. So it's like some kind of TV challenge of like, it's like going to the jungle for like 5 weeks. I mean, there's a lot of people use war analogies. It's like going into battle, and it's just you're mobilized, and you have all these people around you. You have this huge machine, and you just fight every day to get the best footage you can, and you come out of it, and then you hope that footage you've got and those performances you've got edit together into something that is as good as it can be.
Was there a moment kind of like early doors when you're like maybe a few days in where you just think, I've got this? Like there was just like a moment where on scene or shot where you thought, I am a director now. This is going to be good. There was
a shot when we, without sort of ruining the film, and like a big thing happens on 17 minutes, and the lead two guys have to deal with a situation that's happened, and I was watching the two actors acting and Mark the DOP the way he was shooting it. And I realised we did quite a long take of something, about a minute, and I watched and I realised that I just got totally lost in the footage, and I felt like a shock because Mark's a very, very good DOP, and he's got a very instinctual way of shooting handheld stuff, and I felt like I just watched something that had actually happened, and I was watching it on YouTube as opposed to watching a film. But at the same time, you know, it was beautiful at the same time, and I just thought this could be something. This film could be something. But of course that was day 3, so we had to keep that. We had to keep that for another 25 days. So there's not a time when you relax and you think this is going to work. You're constantly thinking this could work if we can keep this level.
Absolutely.
You know. And
what was it kind of now that obviously it'll come on Netflix on Friday? How will you kind of spend your weekend? Like there's almost such a mystery about kind of the Netflix model and how they access information. Will you be one of those people sort of just like watching it tick over or something like that? How will you be spending your weekend as people potentially all around the world, from China to Iceland to Papua New Guinea, could be watching your film?
I think what'll happen is that I will, over the weekend, occasionally, I'm gonna look at a list of countries that Netflix originals. I think it's every country apart from 4 in the world. It's going to be really hard not to think, you know, someone might be like 20 minutes into the movie in the Cayman Island. You know, just the fact that it's been like subtitled and dubbed and is going out to the potential for that many people to see the film is what you dream of.
When did they become involved in sort of the process? Did they like put money up kind of early doors, we'd like this, or you've made a film, pitching it round and they went, that's for us?
We'd finished the film and then Netflix bought the whole, but they bought everything, so they just, Netflix took the film.
So what's going to be next for the film? Obviously it's Netflix. Will it have, these things tend to sometimes be staged all different around the world. Will that now just be out in the world and sort of promoting it by maybe going to different countries? How does sort of a Netflix promotion model work?
It works completely differently to like the sort of traditional model where you would travel around the world and you would have theatrical releases, hopefully, in different countries, and DVD releases in different countries. With this one, Netflix, there's none of that. Netflix, the film is taken to the world by Netflix. So my job after that is simply that if people see it on Netflix and then want to talk about it, then I'm always available to talk about it. But you don't have to, like, Netflix does the work that you travelling around the world is the work you do to try and get the film seen. The weird thing with Netflix is all of that work is completely taken care of from the start, which is quite curious. I mean, it's like, you know, we had a fantastic sales agent, and he was a lovely guy. I'd only met him once, and I was thinking, you know, when the film's finished, I'll see him all over the place. You know, I'll be working with him to the film. But then the film sold to Netflix. I haven't seen him, so you know, I'm not going to see him. You know, so so it's a completely different model, but it's essentially the end game Netflix gets you to the end game that you want to by doing all the
It must
work.
take a lot away some of the stress and stuff of going, well, will it play here? Like, having that option must be incredible as a filmmaker, to know people can click it on one button away and they're not going to have to find it perhaps showing in like Screen 13 at the Cineworld one for one night show in a week or something like that. That must be like quite euphoric to have that all over the world.
I haven't quite got my head around it. I mean, you know, it's hard to comprehend that, you know, people in all those different countries can. I mean, that's when we're going to find out whether the film, because there was, you know, the idea with the film was to make a kind of a story that's universal and is fairly, you know, they say that like if a film works, you can watch it with the sound off and you still understand it. And I was kind of thinking about that when I wrote it. So, I mean, what's going to be interesting now is to see whether the film does just play universally or whether in different countries. I mean, for example, in the States, you know, maybe the gun stuff plays completely differently, you know, to in the UK, or maybe and does the kind of I mean, it's fairly subtle, the kind of sort of social political subplot of the struggling village and the. I mean, and the economic thing. I mean, does that play stronger in certain different countries?
Right,
And I get that's the great thing is we'll hopefully find out the answer to
I was
those
discussing with like Martin the other day, and I think the moral argument is quite a fascinating one, because I can imagine everyone watching that movie will go, I would do what Jack Lowden did, I'd be sympathetic to his character, whereas probably in reality we'd all be like, I want to do what Martin did. I'd probably try and bury it and hope for life after. I think that would be interesting to see how that plays.
Yeah, there would I have spoken to people who, you know, I mean, for me, I'm kind of rooted with Jack, but I have spoken to people who've been like, well, thank goodness, you know, Martin's along, because he's doing what needs to be done. And the thing is, the film doesn't, you know, hopefully doesn't. That's one of the things. Hopefully, doesn't come down strongly in any one certain direction, and leaves the audience to kind of ponder within the kind of theme of the movie. So, you know, it's been really interesting to see whether people from different countries react to that kind of stuff in different ways.
That'll be the next big thing. But I wish you all the best, and thank you so much for coming on. Cheers.
Cool. All right.
Join the revolution. Join the Nerd Party.
Welcome to Nerd Party.